All right, so it is 7:10. Let's call this meeting to order. I want to welcome everybody to our first spring meeting of the 2020-2021 academic year. I hope everybody had a good, month off, not having to meet in March. So, as always, Mr. Barrett is recording this session, so both the recording and then the paper transcript of this will be made public. So that way everybody can see the minutes. With that being said, has everybody had an opportunity to look at the minutes from our last meeting back in February? Rebecca was kind enough to type those up. Thank you. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns on the 1 3/4 page documents?
I did not have any questions or concerns.
Okay. Would somebody like to make a motion to enter those into record?
I'll motion.
Okay, motion was made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Like a second. And no one has voiced any concerns. One last opportunity. All right. Motion has been made and approved to enter that into our record. So again, those minutes will be officially in our digital record. All right, moving on to our agenda. So Amy Ricketson is not here for a financial update. She did talk to me. There has been no changes since our last meeting. Where, of course, I just closed the document, but we're basically at the same monetary value as we were in February. Give me 1 second, I'll pull that back up. I apologize. So in February, it was around $11,594. We're basically at that same point. There are no outstanding checks. All bills have been paid. The only thing that has come in the mail, and we just received this, and Mr. Barrett, you might be seeing something come back to you, is our bingo license renewal form has been approved. So
very good.
The town granted that to us. So that should be coming in the mail. This says it's being mailed out on April 7th. So we should see that any day.
Okay, so if I see that, I'll put it aside for the PTA.
Perfect, thank you. So that's really it from a financial update. I know there was an email today, and there's nobody from the 5th grade, but there's an email today from the 5th grade committee asking about money for, I could pull it up. I have the email. They want to know the dollar amount that the 5th grade has in its account, and they were asking how they can do stuff for a bus budget or field trip budget. So I was CC'd on this, and Amy Ricketson's response was she sent them their budget, or she sent them their balance, and said usually the initial startup money, which the PTA gives them, and really there is no budget for bus or field trips because of everything going on with COVID restrictions.
Right.
So they need to, if they want to do something, that's where their fundraising is going to come into place. And I don't know if Dorothy or Stephanie has talked to you about doing outside field trips yet, but we can chat about that now or later. It's whatever you want.
It's fine. We can certainly talk about it now. So actually, all of the elementary principals just discussed that with Dr. Paolucci, and so we're not doing outside trips away from the school. And as sad as that is, I do think that's the right decision because it's the safest for everyone involved. What we are looking at, though, is particularly for 5th grade, and then something a little bit different for the whole school. There are still some presenters who are coming into schools. And so what we're looking at is having someone come in to work with each 5th grade class in individual sessions. So we still keep the classroom pods separate and safe according to the protocols that we've been following all year. We would do it outside if at all possible. If not, we could do it within the cafeteria with one classroom at a time. And so we're looking at, we've had in the past the gentleman who does the wildlife experiences. He brings in animals to show the kids. And typically the kids handle the animals and they share them. I don't know if they'd be able to share them this year. So I had starting conversations with him, and the kids really enjoy him. So I think
Mr. Barrett, Mr. Barrett,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry to interrupt. I apologize.
No,
I'm
it's okay.
getting traffic on Facebook. People are trying to call in, but they're saying they need a PIN.
I put that in the email, but let me just read it to you.
Okay.
Okay. So the PIN is 285
285
439
439
064.
064. 285 439 064.
Yeah, and you might have to do a pound sign at the end.
Okay. Again, I apologize for interrupting.
No, not at all. I'm sorry that people didn't either. Maybe it got cut off in my message, or I wasn't clear. So if that's my fault, I apologize. So anyway, so we are looking at that for 5th grade, and that is something that Dr. Paolucci has given us the go-ahead to look at, as long as the person can show how they would follow the protocols. For the entire school, we're looking at, Windsor did something that was very well received by the students. So they had a science presentation that was virtual, and they broke it up K through 2 and 3 through 5, so the presenter could address the age levels in slightly different ways. But they really seem to enjoy that. So the assistant principal, who's at Windsor right now, who will be the assistant principal at Pleasant View next year, Jess Borges, is going to share that information with me. So we're looking at doing that too. So that's where we're going at this point. We're also, instead of having the traditional field day, we're looking at doing a field week, where the kids have an activity every single day of the week with Mr. Gruska and the other specialists. So giving kids, a whole week of things to look forward to. So that would be in the school. And again, we'd keep the kids separated in pods. So we're looking at doing something like that. And then the 5th grade, we're also looking at, is there a way for us to safely, as part of whatever event we're able to do with them, to do popsicles or, something fun like that with them. And then finally, we're working with Mr. Kelly, the high school principal, to see if we can do the DARE celebrations in the high school auditorium, and each student being able to invite a certain number of family members to attend. Because according to Mr. Kelly, they're able to safely spread out about 250 people right now in the auditorium. So it looks like we'll be able to do that for all 4 elementary schools at individual times. So that's really exciting, and I really appreciate the fact that Mr. Kelly is willing to do that for the elementary schools and work with us.
No, that's awesome. Glad to hear that. I see that Todd Manning joined us and Kevin has called in, so good to see you both on here. So any questions on the financial update? I know we kind of went into 5th grade and end of year field day on that one, but
I believe that the last I spoke to the 5th grade committee too, the Silver Graphics fundraiser, I'm trying to think, was it $700 they were at? And I believe that was earmarked to 5th grade, John, wasn't that correct?
Yes, that's correct. That was all for them.
Yeah, so there is some funds that I think is going to be coming in from that as well. The deadline has been extended to April 18th. So families still have another week or so to put in their orders if they want, and I know that a lot of families already have.
No, it's good to know that they've got at least $700 there. That's awesome.
I believe that was the number. I could be mistaken, but I believe it is. All
right. So moving on, I just stepped away from the computer, so I'll skip number 3 for a second. I'll go to number 4. Okay. Scholastic Virtual Book Fair. Rose has been in contact with the people from Scholastic, and she was looking at possibly running another book fair virtually, of course, end of May, early June, so that way kids could get books right before, summer break, so that way they would have those books to take with them over the summer season. And it would run just like last time, 100% virtual. Go on, order your books, and ship it right to the house. So,
oh, that's excellent.
I will let her know that as of this moment, there's no issues. I mean,
do that.
I don't think we're going to get anything really back for the school, but at least we're getting the opportunity for kids to order books, and that's always good to have.
I think so, and I think it's also nice for them to have, even though the kids are really great about finding materials and reading them online with the Chromebooks, it's also nice to have some physical books to keep at home and to be able to read, with mom and dad, grandma and grandpa, the brothers and sisters. So I'm all for it. I think that's terrific.
Awesome. All right, moving on to Outdoor Bazaar. So we had came up with a crazy idea of possibly holding our annual bazaar outdoors due to COVID. Here we are in April, and we were kind of in a holding pattern for a while, trying to figure out what could we do. We had Mr. Barrett, you had kindly reached out to Randy Rossi, the town manager, and he said theoretically this could be possible. We just got to make sure all COVID precautions are in place for this. And Randy kind of threw Todd Manny underneath the bus and said, as long as Todd Manny gave it the thumbs up, it's good to go. So sorry, bud.
I think he asked me to go to Mr. Manny and say, okay, if we were going to do this, how would we do it?
Right.
And
how
so,
would we do this?
we're fortunate enough to have Mr. Manny not only be former OCRS PTA president, but also still a OCRS parent.
So hypothetically, again, this is just, thinking outside the box here. If we were to do an outdoor bazaar, Todd, what would your recommendations be on how to approach this and, the best way to do this at like Deerfield Park?
Yeah, I certainly think it's a great idea. I think that, as life returns to normal, or begins to return to normal, I think these are the things that bring the community together, and it gives a opportunity for people to reconnect. And I'm all about making this thing return back to normal as fast as we can. And part of doing that is to come up with solutions when it comes to how to get different groups of people together. I think that you do have to use an open space, a large space, and I think Deerfield Park is very appropriate for doing that. I would certainly keep as much space as you possibly can between the vendors, so that you can make sure that you can encourage social distancing. Enforce masks and a mask requirement. We can support with hand sanitizing stations. We can bring additional masks in, things like that. We can put up some, just some signage, some reminders of, having people keep their distance. But I think it's certainly a doable thing. I think that, we're beginning to return. We're starting to look to return to like food trucks and things like that. So if we can pull off food trucks, I think we can certainly pull off an outside bazaar. And I think it's really going to be based on how many vendors you have, and really the time frame of doing it. And as long as everybody remains flexible at this, because that's the only normal thing that we have right now is that flexibility. I think that you'll be able to have a very successful event, and emergency management will be more than happy to support that, and also go back to the town and let the manager know that we've talked about this, and we're going to establish a subcommittee to plan this out, to ensure that we apply appropriately all of the recommendations by the Rhode Island Department of Health, the Center for Disease Control, and anything else that we have to, whether it's national PTA associations, school department requirements, whatever that happens to be, so that we can get that done. But I think that the first step for you guys is it viable? Do you have the people to do it? And if you do, then we can make anything happen. We're awesome. We'll do it.
So that
I meant OCRS PTA, not EMA. But we're awesome at EMA too. But
so that leads me into a question to this group. So while I think this was a great pie in the sky idea, do we as PTA think that here we are in April, school's getting out in June, that this is a viable option to be able to do?
Well, I know that Amy had reached out to the vendors to see about interest. So
Right.
I think that if we have enough vendors that are interested, and it's kind of on a lower scale as far as things that we have to take care of, I think it could be doable.
I'm on the Facebook page right now. I'm trying to find that posting because I know I saw it the day that she posted it, but it's buried
Yeah,
somewhere.
exactly.
And last I saw, it was an okay, tepid response from some vendors. But I, again, that was the first day that it was out there, so I don't know what it's looking like right now. My fear is that we go to do this and we don't get a good response. And then everyone's like, oh, OCRS tried to do this bazaar. It wasn't the best. And then we go and try and do our Christmas one, and I don't know. Again, that's just me being fearful. If we were to do something, I want to do something for it to fully succeed. It's there to benefit the school, benefit the kids. But if that's just me, I want to hear from other people too.
Well, I
Will we
can
be
tell, I
competing
actually,
with?
oh, go ahead, Kevin.
Will we be competing with the various sports facilities? I mean, soccer's coming in, track, cross country.
Yeah, that's something that we would definitely have to talk to the town about, and then also Parks and Rec. You know, the other thing, and certainly Todd has probably better ideas about this than I do, but I wonder if there are other locations besides Deerfield that we can still space out. You know, that one of the advantages of Deerfield is there's parking, and obviously that's a huge, you know, piece of this. But it doesn't necessarily have to be Deerfield if we can find another viable location in town. But Kevin, we actually did have the same sort of, I don't want to say concern, but you know, just acknowledge that that space is prime real estate for the town, and it's also utilized by lots and lots of different groups.
Right, exactly.
I'm also fearful about the weather too, because then we would also have to have a rain day, set up just in case.
And I'm looking at the post that Amy had done, I think it was yesterday, and she's gotten 22 responses. And most of them are saying, yeah, they would be interested.
So that's better than the last time I saw it.
Yeah.
So if I could, and I think you're right. I think that there's a lot of competition at Deerfield for space, and I know that with different compressed seasons right now, I don't exactly know what a normal use of Deerfield Park looks like right now. However, I think that the high school is a phenomenal space. And I think that if you were to do along the path that goes by the gymnasium up towards Pleasant View Avenue, behind the baseball field and behind the softball field, you could reach social distancing and be able to set up a nice, almost like a stroll type of an event, and have the restrooms available at the high school. And to John's point, I think you're up against it with the weather. I mean, we're going to have a lot is going to depend on these connected events. Based on the weather, and I think
Right.
that we just need to normalize rain dates and really set up some realistic expectations in terms of what gets canceled and what gets moved and things like that, because a light drizzle might not be a showstopper post COVID-19, whereas before, even the thought of rain would automatically cause us to trigger a rain date.
I think the challenge too for the bazaar is the vendors themselves. Like if it's going to be outdoors, do they have a setup that they're comfortable with that, like you said, Todd, if there was light drizzle, that whatever their wares are, whatever their products are that they're selling would still, would be damaged, would be okay. So, I think that you're thinking, John and Rebecca, that, maybe the next step is to really, the vendors who expressed interest, maybe we need to have a subcommittee meeting with them, and we can, we can advertise for the subcommittee, see who wants to join and be part of it. But maybe really get down to, okay, if we're going to do this, and I know John feels this way, and I think we all do, we don't want to do things, we know it'll have to be smaller scale, and that's not a bad thing. I think that's okay. But we want it to be quality. Like we don't want to do an event that's not only that's not appealing to people, but also the OCRS school community over the past 20 plus years has really built up a reputation for this wonderful, wonderful bazaar. And it has nothing to do with me because I came in the very last few years. It's really been almost over 30 years. And I would hate to do anything that would mar that reputation. And I think, John, I don't want to speak for you, but I think that the PTA probably feels the same way about that.
I do. And, I like I said, I fully encourage the outside the box thinking, but I don't want it, like you said, to mar us and make us look bad and possibly prevent vendors from coming back again. So I'm torn. I don't want to force something through with only a couple months left, or should we just wait until winter next year when the school's done and really knock it out of the park? I just don't know.
I mean, the nice thing about doing it, I can play devil's advocate, right? The nice thing about doing it in the winter is we'll also have the new addition in school to sort of show off. It'll be kind of cool to bringing people through the new lobby and getting to see some of those things. I do think, though, it might be worth the effort to do our due diligence, even if it's just one subcommittee meeting with some of the vendors, and just go through some of the concerns and some of the details. And it may become apparent right away that, yeah, this just isn't, it's not worth it to them. It's not worth it to the PTA. Or someone may have a brilliant idea that none of us have thought about yet. And it may, we may look at it and go, oh, I didn't even think about that. And yes, that would make it so much better and make it work. So I'm wondering if it's worth the time for one subcommittee meeting. I don't know if the rest of the group feels.
I can easily hold that subcommittee meeting. I mean, I'm going to so many meetings as it is. Why not just tack on another one?
I know,
so
John,
yeah,
you're in charge of a lot.
Yeah, so I can absolutely take that on. I think that's a good idea, just to reach out to let them know and hear from the vendors and see what they think too. And if the majority of them are wanting to wait, then that makes it easy for us.
We could also.
My wife.
Oh, go ahead, Kevin.
Sorry. Go ahead, Kev.
No, my wife used to do a lot of crafts, outdoor craft shows and whatever. Most of the people have pop-up tents, but if we decide on a rain date, most of these vendors already have their schedule all set up. So if we cancel it one weekend and reschedule for the next, they may already have something already scheduled for that. So that's something we have to consider too.
It's definitely part of the challenge. You're exactly right.
Yeah. And again, maybe even just reach out and having a subcommittee meeting will show that we're trying to be more flexible with them and listening to their point of view.
We could also gather some ideas from them now about how we can make the winter bazaar successful. So it could even be a dual purpose meeting.
I agree. Any other thought on that?
I just appreciate, so, Todd, I appreciate the fact, I know how busy EMA is right now with all the vaccination clinics that are going on in the town. And I just wanted to say thank you. I appreciate you taking the time. And I also really appreciate, as a Smithfield Town resident myself as well, the fact that the community is really, I think, doing a terrific job trying to work together with all stakeholders. No matter what we're doing, I think everyone's really trying to do what's best for the town. So I just wanted to say thank you. I really appreciate it.
Well, you know what? No thanks needed, and really thank you for and the PTA for all the work they've been doing to keep things moving and things going, and a school life beyond the textbooks and the classroom work that gets done, and the other part of school, that school community. And even though it's abbreviated this year or changed this year or different this year, there's a lot of hands that are going into this. I've said it often, that it's my honor to serve this community, but I never realized what an honor it was until we have COVID-19. So as we plug through and get through, I think that returning to normal is that's what I'm in the business of, right? That my job as a consequence manager is to return things to normal. And I think that part of what we need to start retooling right now, as we continue to increase the numbers of vaccinated people in the population, is to see and begin testing the waters of these types of events, so that we can start re-engaging with each other, because I am quite concerned about mental health, because I think that will be the next public health crisis as we live in a post-COVID-19 world. And I just, want to, because I tell it to everybody, just, pay attention to your kids, pay attention to your friends, pay attention to your family members. There's a lot of people who continue to be affected and impacted by the isolation, and the devil's playground are idle hands and quiet moments. So as I said, whatever you want to do, we'll be more than happy to support it and make it happen. And dream big, because we're federally funded. So there you go.
Heard that, Mr. Manny. I appreciate it. Thank you
Thanks,
very much.
Todd. We really appreciate it.
Stay well. Bye-bye.
All right, moving on. So, high school scholarship. Have we had any movement on that? To my teachers in the audience, I haven't heard about a meeting coming up, so I just want to touch base with you, Ms. Manella and Ms. Moretti, see if you guys have heard anything.
I did speak to Mrs. Chomka today, and the deadline is Friday, and we have already received quite a few. And we have decided to hold fast to the deadline, because last year because of everything that was going on, we accepted a lot of late applications. But we're going to hold fast to the deadline this year and just accept what comes in by Friday. But I know we've had quite a few already.
That's awesome.
That's
great.
Perfect to hear. And this year I do not have a senior at the high school, so I'm happy to participate in the process. Next year I'll have another senior, so I'll have to borrow it again.
Yeah, and that process last year, that was seamless and fun. So
that's because I wasn't involved. But thanks for rubbing it
I
in.
know it was because Ms. Chomka ran that very smoothly. So I have to give her full
terrific.
credit.
Yep, it's a well-oiled machine with Mrs. Chomka.
I might have been a little scared on that meeting, so it's okay. So again, I look forward to being part of that committee with you all. So
thank you.
Thank you for the update, Ms. Manella. All right, moving into our other committees. Again, no representative from 5th grade is on, but we spoke about that. We spoke about end of year / field day. Teachers appreciation. I know Amy Ricketson and Rose have been coming up with some great ideas. There's a magazine that came in the mail to the school that we received, and they got a bunch of things that we could possibly do, especially for being virtual and not being allowed in school. So thought process, that ball is moving. Just wanted to see what the date range you're looking for, Mr. Barrett. So again, we don't want to do anything to interrupt testing or end of year activities.
So let me, so the state testing window is a little bit wider this year, as you can imagine, because we're accommodating in-person testing and also bringing virtual students in for a day to do their testing as well. So let me just bring up real quickly the schedule. We're starting 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade ELA testing next week. Let me see if I can grab, here it is, state assessment dates. So we're starting right before April break. We're doing the math testing May 11th and May 12th, and then the 5th grade. So only the 5th grade has to, or is required to take the state science exam. That's going to be May 26th. So there is quite a spread there. So what we could possibly do, we could look at two things. We could look at the week between the math and the science assessment, which would be, open my calendar here just so I can see. So that would be the week of May 17th. If we wanted to do something in between those 2 weeks. If we wanted to wait, we'd be looking at really, the week of May 31st. Now we are going much later into June this year, as everybody knows. So we do have a little bit of time in June. So if we wanted to do it that May 31st week, we've got plenty of time to do it. But I'd like to hear from the two teachers, or even we could even poll the teachers to see if they wanted to wait until after all testing was done, or they thought that, doing it right after the RICAS is done and before science would work.
Or ladies, I know Teacher Appreciation, the official week is, May 4th through 8th, or 3rd through 7th, I should say. And I don't see any testing on those dates either.
So there isn't, and so I'm sending this out to families. The staff already know this, but I haven't shared this with families yet. So I'm going to be out for a couple of weeks. I have to have surgery.
Okay.
So I won't be in school that week. Now it's not Principal Appreciation Week, so you don't have to wait for me to do it. But I would love to be there, because I think, our teachers have gone so far above and beyond what they already do, that I think that there's no amount of appreciation we could give them to show how much we really appreciate them. But I'd love to be there that week. But if it's the only week that would work, then that's fine. I don't, like I said, it's not Principal Appreciation Week.
No, we don't have hard dates or anything yet, as far as from our standpoint. So
just to throw in a teacher's perspective, I think, and Ms. Manella, you can speak to this as well. I think the school year going so far into June, I think doing it a little bit later might kind of be a pick-me-up for the teachers, only because, just all of the different things we've been having to, do this year. And I think kind of to get us through the end, it might be something that would, be better timing to do it after. And Mr. Barrett, we would actually like you to be there too. So you do count, but so that's just my personal opinion. I don't know what anybody else would be,
It could be like a little reward after all testing is done.
And the last day of school for this year is June 23rd. Is that correct?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. So we've got plenty of time.
Yeah,
where we can do it
week of the 31st of May, I think that would be fine. I mean, we could even do it a little later, but then it starts to get really warm too, so you want to balance. Right.
So, ladies, like Ms. Burr said, that first week of June or the second or third week, you let us know what works best for you, and we can make it happen.
Ms. Manella?
Well, Julie and Julie, do you want to just
yeah, I can
we can get back to you.
Pull the staff.
Okay.
As long as we're not eating Miss Manella the chicken.
No, that chicken is safe in my chicken coop. All right. So
you have a chicken named Miss Manella now?
Yes.
That was one of our first chickens that Anna named after Miss Manella. Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
It says it all. We don't even have to add any comments.
That is definitely not on the menu. Don't worry. Although I might give you some eggs from the chicken, Miss Manella. So we'll see. So yeah, if you poll the teachers, ladies, and just let us know what those dates would work best for you, that would be great. I appreciate that. Just to give you a couple of ideas of things that we're looking at for this. We have been in touch with a coffee truck to possibly come to the school and provide coffee. I know that's always a good mental and physical pick-me-up. Yeah. We have also started the conversation with both Wright's Dairy Farm and Pastry Land to get individually packed treats for the teachers. So
I
obviously,
think you had everyone at Wright's Dairy Farm.
well, we know we can't do large things, but we can get individual, and then obviously whatever food allergens, we'll let them be aware of for that.
Mhm.
So those were just a couple things that we're bopping around in our brains over. So we'll see.
Thank you.
Right. Just to jump back for 1 second, I apologize. I forgot to mention this for the 5th grade. They do have one additional fundraiser coming up. They have a Chipotle fundraiser on April 24th from 4 to 8 p.m.
Oh, you're right. So I'll make sure
Yeah.
to include that in the family information. Thank you for
Yep.
that.
I completely
Can I
forgot
ask
about that.
Can I ask a quick question about that? And Mr. Barrett, you might put this in the information about it. Does that include if you call and order like a pickup?
Absolutely.
I
does.
believe it does.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Anything from that time, from
Okay.
4 to 8 p.m., that absolutely goes towards the funds for the school.
Oh, great.
So,
Okay.
And what was the date again?
April 24th from
Thank you.
4 to 8 p.m. Is there any way we could pass that info on to the high school? Because I know that the high school kids love to go to Chipotle.
Oh, you bet. So you know what? I will. Mr. Kelly is always so helpful. So I will also reach out to Dan and see if he'll help us publicize that.
Okay, that'd be great.
All
And
right,
I know
that's a great idea.
we had on our Facebook page, we did have a little blurb, but I can post that back out, and you can always steal that and put that on the school one
Absolutely.
as well. So,
Absolutely. And Chipotle is one of those easy meals right now that, like you said, lots of kids in particular like.
The Moretti's got it. The Moretti's had Chipotle for dinner this evening.
I love Chipotle personally.
look at
I was
that.
going to say
Perfect.
it's
Yeah,
Mr. Barrett's favorite.
Unfortunately, Mr. Barrett hasn't been able to eat it for a while. So we'll see. That's okay.
All right. Next up on the docket is the beam raising update. Any word on that from
So
construction crew?
Yeah, so I spoke to Dr. Paolucci this morning about that. So what happened was in December, when there were a lot of things happening, school had to be closed fairly quickly. So they had to get the beam put up in that time frame, and they had to do it quickly. So they weren't able to schedule a ceremony for us. However, what Dr. Paolucci suggested, and I think it's a great idea, is we just do something different. So we do a different type of ceremony, a different type of celebration. And so right now, Dr. Paolucci is working with, town council and school committee for them to go sort of get the first tours of the space, even though it's not finished. But as we get closer to the end of the year, we might be able to do something with PTA and we can have a celebration, even though it's not the beam raising because it's already been raised. But we could do something else. So I just wanted to suggest that to the group. I think that's fine. Any celebration I think would be great.
If I bring my own ladder, can I sign the beam?
Kevin, you're tall enough to almost not need the ladder.
Wait.
I'll get that Santa chair for you, Kevin. I'll lift you up in that. How about that?
All right.
Kevin, there's a lot of scaffolding right now around the school. You wouldn't even need the ladder.
Don't tempt me, Paul. I put in a lot of years up there. I want some recognition on the beam.
I know. Unfortunately, Dr. Paolucci told me they had to put it in without us because it was just a bad time in December. What was going on? But that's okay. We'll do something else.
I understand.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I think anything we can do, especially in the middle of this crazy year is fine. And then we'll publicize that, put that out, and give an opportunity for the schools, the parents to see that there is that thought going into it. So.
Yep, I agree.
All right. Dave got booted off. He's logging back on again. So maybe it wasn't you, Mr. Barrett. Maybe it's his computer.
That's good. I feel better.
He might be trying to steal my internet again. I don't know. So nomination committee, it's that time of the year where we have to vote on a new board. I know, Mr. Barrett, you and Rose were working on this. Again, she's not here tonight. She's working. I spoke to her an hour and a half ago, and she still has 0 people that have either self-nominated or nominated somebody else for a position. Have you gotten anything since we last spoke at about 2:30 this afternoon?
No, I have not received anything either. And, you know, Mr. Porter and I talked a little bit about, you know, I put in what I sent out to families that, yes, it's true that people need to be a member of the PTA, but they can pay their membership dues literally the day of the election if they wanted to. So they don't need to be worried about if they're not currently a member or they currently haven't paid membership dues. I was hoping that would help, but it hasn't. You know, barring having Mrs. Diaz like cold call people, which I don't think is a good idea, I would love to get some other suggestions. I'm not sure how else we can get the word out. I know that people are there's a lot on everyone's plate. So the idea of taking on one extra thing, I think, is really difficult for everybody right now. And I completely understand that. I would hate to see that, you know, the existing board to have to continue to take on that responsibility because no one else is willing to at least offer. I know the existing board has said quietly that you'd be willing to do that, and I really appreciate that. I don't know if there's any way to quote unquote sweeten the pot for people. You know, Mr. Barrett will bring donuts every meeting next year. I don't know, but I'm looking for ideas.
I don't know. I think, like you said, everybody's got a lot on their plate this year. And I want to publicly put out there, this board's not trying to permanently stay in power. Okay. So
No.
I've said that multiple times. I want that to go on record again. I want people to have opportunity.
Rebecca just came into power. So, you know,
I try to give Rebecca my position and she turned me down, you know?
No, thank you. Yeah, I know you did try. You tried, you and Rose tried very hard.
I was going to bribe you with food, you know?
Can we have
You know
Mr.
what?
Gary?
I should just nominate Mr. Gary.
I'll second
Mr. Gary
it.
would have no idea because he's unloading the dishwasher for me.
It's past his bedtime of 7:30.
Yeah. Unfortunately, without him being able to accept, I will vote on Mr. Gary's.
We were this close, Rebecca.
Veto that on Mr. Gary's behalf. So again, the positions that are open this year, Amy Ricketson's position as treasurer, David Beauchamp's position as VP, and my position as president. So is there anybody in the audience that would like to nominate themselves, Miss Amy Capisi, for a position?
No pressure, Amy, no pressure. You're just the only one who's not affiliated right now.
It's a little crazy in my household, so I can't dedicate any more time. You have no idea.
It's okay.
Sit down.
So, just thinking about you, Amy. Just thinking, you know. I could take your son to karate since he and I are at the same school, you know.
You can keep him. I mean, no.
No. So, in our bylaws, it does say that even though members are not allowed to serve more than 2 consecutive terms in the same position, if nobody does come out for a position, those members in that position, i.e. Dave, Amy, and myself, could stay on for 1 additional year if no one else is nominated or self-nominates. Amy, again, she's not here, but I did speak to her. She said that she would be willing to stay on for another year as treasurer. Dave, he just got booted again, but Dave, as yesterday, did say, and he said again today, that he would be willing to stay on as VP for another year, and I will be willing to stay on again for another year as president. Are there any?
No. Despite what happens, John.
Yeah.
I just want to say I think the last 2 years have been absolutely fantastic with the people that have served, especially this past year with COVID and everything else. So again, despite whatever happens, I just want to extend my thanks to you and everybody else.
I thank you for that. That means a lot coming from you. You've done a lot for the school, for this PTA. So I really do appreciate that, Kevin. So thank you. Are there any problems with having Dave, Amy, and I stay on for an additional year as treasurer, VP, president? I see Amy Kafisi shaking her head no. Rebecca's shaking her head no.
From the
I'm
school
shaking my
perspective,
head no.
absolutely not.
Kevin verbally says no problems. Miss Manella,
We'd be
Miss
happy to
Moretti,
have you.
any issues from you as teachers?
Nope.
Miss Manella, do they have to name additional chickens after you?
Oh, no. Anna and I are plotting to get new pets.
So with that being said, the board shall remain the same for one additional year. So again, I was more than willing to give up the position. So don't want people to think that I'm trying to hoard it. So, all right.
I'm gonna wish you congratulations with a question mark at the end.
Question mark, yep. Quite all right. All right, so Mr. Barrett, the floor is yours now for principal's reports.
So I think we've talked about most of the things that I wanted to mention as part of the meeting, but just very quick summary. So we are still planning on having, a 5th grade DARE celebration at the end of the year to celebrate the 5th graders. We are working on, even though we can't do traveling field trips, we are working on something specifically for the 5th graders. And then a virtual event for the other grades at the school based upon the success that Windsor had. Mr. Gruska has been already laying groundwork for a field day week, and it looks like the other elementary schools are going to take his lead and do something similar. So we'll have more information about that as those plans go into effect. Trying to think what else. We talked about... we do have the state testing coming up. So, I'll keep families in the loop about that. It's 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, just to make sure that everybody understands what's going on. But that's happening in the next month and a half. You've already brought up teacher appreciation, which is wonderful. And I think the coffee truck idea will be a big hit. If you do something like that, that would be terrific. And then, the only other thing that I would say, and I already mentioned this, and I keep saying this, and I know I sound like a Pollyanna, and I'm sorry that I do, but I'm continually overwhelmed and incredibly proud of how this community, and when I say community, I mean students, their families, teachers, and staff. So everyone has been flexible and has handled this school year. It has certainly been something we've never experienced. We've had to, make adjustments on the fly many times, not just because of the pandemic, but because of the construction. Just the traffic situation itself in the morning and the afternoon is enough. And I just continually want to say thank you because I talk to colleagues around the state, and some of the things that they talk about that they're struggling with, we're just not having the same struggles because I think everyone is pulled together in our school community. And I think Smithfield as a whole has done a great job. But I really want to say Old County Road. And so we've got about 2.5 months left. And I expect that that's going to continue. And hopefully we're looking forward to a year next year where things are a little more back to normal. We don't know exactly how it'll be, but we'll certainly be looking forward to a brand new renovation in addition to the school, brand new media center, brand new art and music rooms, which we have not had at Old County Road. So I do think that we've got a lot of positives coming next year. And so again, I just want to say thank you. I'm going to keep saying that until someone gives me a reason not to say it. And let's hope that doesn't happen. And that would be the end of my report for this particular meeting.
Sounds good. We appreciate everything that you're doing from the principal side of the house. I know there's a lot that happens behind that magic curtain of that side door, and especially since we're not allowed in the building, don't see what's going on. So this is a tough year, and so from PTA as a parent, I just want to say thank you to you, to the teachers, ladies. I know you guys Everyone is working incredibly hard, and it's a rough year, and I know you all are looking forward to summer, so almost there. So we'll have that end of year party like you want, ladies. Teachers Appreciation Week. So, all right, it is an open forum time. Does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns, anything else that they would like to bring up at this point in time?
I actually just want to say I am quite amazed at how Mr. G has handled this whole pandemic as a gym teacher. I mean, the teachers have done amazing, but for him to be able to come up with such out of the box ideas for the kids that incorporate social distancing and all of the protocols that need to go into place. I mean, even the kids came home the other day and were so excited that he brought in his bikes and his helmets, and they were like amazed at all of the different things that he had. So I definitely give him, along with the other teachers, a lot of kudos for that.
That snow maze that he built was pretty cool. I know.
Oh my God, they loved it.
Yeah, the girls walking home were very excited about that and talking about that. So that was very cool on his part.
And one of the other things that some families don't realize too is, and he's been working with Old County Road families on this in the fall and now again in the spring, we've got that outdoor classroom in the back of Old County Road. He utilizes that, and he's been, with families' help, blazing a new trail to have a new walking trail back there. And so I agree with you. You know, he likes staying sort of out of the limelight, but I think he deserves a lot of credit for trying to find ways to not just keep kids active and healthy, but also let them have some fun and let his own sense of humor come through. So I appreciate that very much as well.
I am all too familiar with all the mulch that needed to be laid back there. So yes.
That's right. And there's still a pile. And you know, thank you to the construction company. They donated all that mulch. So we got all of that mulch for free. And there's still plenty more.
I did not know that. That's awesome. That is awesome.
I have a quick question for the parents that are here today. So you know that Dr. Paolucci did a poll about a month ago about any families that wanted any of those student desks. And then I sent out an email today to families about some of the library furniture. We may have some additional opportunities for things like that, odds and ends. Is there any other way that you think families would want to hear about those things besides the emails? Or I want to just make sure that everybody has equal opportunities. I don't want to favor one family over another. If someone wants some of those things that we're getting rid of that we don't want to throw away.
I mean, we see this with just the communication in particular. I think if you can do the email, you can do the Facebook posts. You're going to hit probably the largest amount of parents possible between those two.
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, digital media is probably the best. You could always send home something with each child, but then you have to print it. So, I mean, that's not the most efficient way these days.
Yeah.
And it's tough as a parent too. I remember what the bottom of my kids' backpacks look like in elementary school. So I know sometimes it's a week or two before you even find what's in the backpack. Okay, very good.
Well, I don't know if you want to reach out to the social worker. I mean, some families may not have internet or computers at home or whatever to access social media.
Yep. So Mrs. Costa, you know, Kevin, you talk to Mrs. Costa frequently. She's been terrific. And so we have been supporting families who need those resources. And actually, one of the nice things that the community has done, and also the state has done, is there are more and more programs for families who COVID has impacted financially. And so we're going to continue sharing those resources with families to try and get them access to things. But you're right, Kevin, we shouldn't assume that 100% of families have access to technology. Almost everybody has a phone, a smartphone, but some families, you know, they remind me that they don't have unlimited data plans, or their data plans are slow. And so sometimes the posts with lots of pictures and things are difficult for them. So Kevin, thank you for reminding us. I appreciate that.
Yeah, some family may want a desk at home, you know.
Right. So I'll tell you, those library tables, even though they're big, they're solid oak. Like those, someone might, you know, they're old and they're a little beat up, but if someone wants a really solid work table or, you know, a play table for their kids, we've got 4 of them ready to go out the door now, and we'll have 2 more later.
I think it's a cool opportunity, especially with the desk and all that, for someone to take a piece of Old County home and have that in the house, you know.
Yeah. And Dr. Paolucci is the one who deserves the credit for thinking outside the box on that one and not just getting rid of it.
Awesome. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it's 8:04 and I have nothing left on the agenda. Unless there is anything that pops up from anybody in the audience, I have no problem shutting this meeting down.
Motion to adjourn.
Very quickly, Kevin made a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I
My battery's
second.
running.
Second, third.
Thank you.
All
There's
right,
a lot of
ladies and gentlemen,
seconds.
thank you so much. Have a great night and a great weekend.
Thank you, everybody.
See you.
Thank
Bye, good
you.
Thank you.
Everybody.